My name is Morgan Collins, also known as Loco Moco, and this is Loco Moco's Tea Shop, also known as My Dorm Kitchen. So today I'm going to be making for you guys is a vanilla milk tea. I make it iced, but you can also have it hot. So to make this, we are going to need some hot water. Let me go ahead and start heating some up. You need hot water to brew your tea because it takes out the flavor a lot more. If you don't use hot water and use like cold water instead for like the kind of tea I'm making today, you won't really have any flavor. There are different kinds though that you can brew in cold water, or as well as like there's called sun tea, and you can brew it just putting it outside in the sunshine. We do that a lot in the summer. So while that is warming up, I'll show you guys our ingredients. So today I'm going to be using a black tea. It's a French vanilla black tea. You can use just regular black tea too. I use this for this particular tea that I make just because it has vanilla and it just adds more vanilla flavoring to my vanilla tea. I also have my vanilla syrup. This one is sugar-free vanilla. I usually use just regular vanilla, but that's what they had and it kind of tastes the same. It's not really too big of a difference. Let me start the hot water again. And I will also be using some milk. You can use whatever kind of milk like you usually drink. I drink reduced fat. And then we're also going to need ice. So this is ice from my softball clubhouse. We're going to be pouring the hot tea that we make over ice. So I make it in like 2 separate cups. That way I can let my tea brew well in my other cup, which is going to be this one. I'm going to fill it with my ice and my flavoring before I pour the tea over, just so it like cools down as it goes through the ice. So while my water is warming up, we will go ahead and add our vanilla syrup. So I put this in first before the ice just so the ice doesn't already start melting as much, so I'm not pouring this over and letting it melt because we don't want our tea to be watered down. It doesn't taste as good. So I count about 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Totally up to you. I like it really sweet. I like sugar a lot. So I count to about that. Let me start the water again. So our water is done now before I start the rest of this. So you will just go ahead and take your hot water and your tea packet, whatever kind of tea you decide to use, and you'll take it out of the package and plop it right there in the water. So after I put it in this, I'm gonna let my tea brew until like I finished everything. I like letting my tea brew for like 1 minute and 30 seconds, or like any more, like just depending on how much time I have. The longer you let it brew, the more flavor that comes out of the bag, like the tea bag, and so we're just going to set that aside and let that brew. Now let's come back to this. Now I already poured in my flavoring, now I'm just going to add ice. I'm going to use another cup to scoop out the ice from my little bag. Try and make sure you put plenty of ice in there just to make sure like it gets cold, because if you have like a cold iced tea that's like not really cold, it just does not taste that good. So you want to make sure you have plenty of ice, that way your tea is completely cold when you make it. So I almost filled this guy completely up with ice, so that should be enough to let it cool. I am not going to pour in the milk yet. I pour in my milk after I pour in my tea, just because if this was a clear cup, you would see it. It goes through it all, if that makes any sense, and so I poured in last. That's also what my barista friend told me to do. I used to make this tea, or have this tea a lot back home, but since I was moving, she kind of helped me, show me how to make it, that way I could bring it to school with me. I also make a tea a lot like this. It's a green tea, and I add flavoring to it, but instead of like vanilla, I add passion fruit and watermelon. Those are my favorite flavors to add. So I'll do the same thing. I'll brew the green tea and then pour it over ice with my flavoring. It's just kind of a sweeter drink, and this one's more of a milk vanilla one, but you can do either one. So now that I have this guy all done, I think that our tea is almost done brewing. I like it to be strong, so I try and take as much time as I can. I think this should be good though. This tea is great for like on the go and stuff, like it's not too hard. All you gotta do is I'll usually before practice run in here and just start making it and stuff. It's really easy and it's really flavorful. I don't drink coffee, so I drink tea, so this is kind of my caffeine for the day also in the mornings. I can make it hot or cold, so depending like on the weather, but this is what I go off of in the morning because I don't drink coffee. Okay, so I think it is good. So all we're going to do is pour this over the top of our ice into our cup. Almost filled it up. I had about 8 ounces of water, or 12 ounces of water in this. Okay, so we did that. And now this guy. Sometimes if I'm making like tea for multiple people, I can use this tea bag more than once. But since it's just for me, I'll usually just throw it away. But you can use it more than once usually. Okay, so I poured my ice in there. Whenever you pour it in, you want to try and, you kind of know that you had enough ice if you still can see it after you pour it in, like the boiling water. So I had plenty in there. Now I'm just going to give it a good stir because I did pour in my flavoring first. So I want to make sure I get that flavoring all up and it's not just in the bottom. And once I've done that, I will pour in my milk until it gets to the top of my cup. Right there. It'll turn kind of almost like a, not quite a chocolate milk, but kind of like a brownish color. Almost looks like you put cream in there. And now my tea is done. Stir on the top and drink away. Thank you.